Jessie. Welcome to Splash Studio Online, where I will be teaching you this painting here called Black Forest. I'll be doing a step-by-step process for you guys, so I'll teach you all the colors, techniques, all the shapes and all of that so you guys can make your very own version. So we've got a couple supplies here that I've got laid out. You all should have a brush roll with 4 different sized brushes. You've got your large flat, your small flat, your medium round, and then your tiny detail brush, and I'll be telling you which of those we'll be using throughout our painting here. But for now, I'll have you put those in our handy dandy little water cup. This is a great place for them to live while we're not using them so that they can keep from drying out, and we can keep using them as well. And it's great for washing off in between colors when you need to change. And then I've also got this little rag here. This is great for drying off your brushes once you have washed them. So for this painting, you'll technically only need 4 colors. You've got your yellow, white, blue, and black. But if you guys want to change anything about this painting, if you want more colors, you want different colors, different trees or flowers, feel free to do whatever you guys want with this painting. I'll just be here to kind of guide you through what we have on the original. So that being said, guys, since this is a video, whenever you need to pause it to kind of let the paint dry, or if you need to go do something, run some errands, or just take a break, feel free to just pause the video, and then when you're ready to jump back in, you can just press play again. So that being said, we're going to get started in our first step in just a couple of minutes. Alrighty guys, so for our first step we're going to be doing this kind of sky portion here in the background of our painting. So we're going to use 3 different mixes of colors to kind of create a nice little gradient that'll blend nicely down into a horizon. So for this I'm using my large flat brush, and for our first color I mixed together mostly white with a little bit of blue and a tiny bit of yellow to get this really light teal color. So for this, I'm going to start about 1/3 of the way down, so approximately around here on my canvas. And then I'm just going to make a straight horizontal line and just kind of blend it out just a little bit. And then we want to move pretty quickly with this, so I'm going to jump right into just pure blue with my brush. Don't have to wash it off. And then I'm just going to use this color and go directly above that lighter color, and then bring it down a little bit to blend it into that lighter blue, and then bring it back up just to finish out that. So now I've got a nice blend there, and then for the last color I am going to wash my brush off a little bit just to get that white out of the brush. And then I'm going to mix blue with just a little bit of black. Now a little bit of black goes a long way, so I'm going to use just a little bit to get a nice kind of navy blue that I've got right there. And then just like before, I'm going to bring this all across the horizontal plane of my canvas. I'm going to bring it down a little bit to blend it with that pure blue. And then I'll bring it back up to blend it all together. And there you have the very first step, and that is our sky. So I'm going to clean off my brush, and then we'll get to the next step in just a second. Next step is going to be to create the rest of the kind of base of our ground on our canvas here, and that's just going to be kind of a series of really sketchy kind of shapes, lines. It doesn't have to look too structured because it is a background, so we just kind of want to fill in this space here. Now to start, I'm still using my large flat brush, and I'm using that blue and black mixture that I made earlier for the sky. And to start, I'm just going to create my horizon line, and so that is going to be just kind of a really bumpy, uneven line that covers our horizon line there, just to make sure that it's a nice crisp line there. And then after that, I'm just going to bring this color down in a really patchy manner, and feel free to add some areas where it's just more blue or more black to kind of get some variation in there. Maybe even add a touch of white just to make it a little bit more interesting as you go down the canvas.
Virgo.
Alrighty, so I'm just bringing this color down. I'm almost there. Alright, now that I've got that entirely filled, we're going to go ahead and add just a couple little textures here to kind of make it look like it's grassy. So what I'm going to do is, I don't really need to wash off my brush, but I'm just going to dip it into straight blue to start. And in the foreground, I'm just going to make these really large strokes that kind of go up, really choppy, like, look like grass. Kind of put them in clumps here and there. You can also take some white and do the same. Doesn't have to look too clean or anything. And then I will start to go into the background here, and I'll make some smaller little strokes to look like it's getting smaller as it goes into the distance, as things tend to do. A little black in there to get some shadows. Alright, and there you have your background is completely done, so you guys might want to take 5-minute break just to let this all dry before we start going in with some of the trees. So take a 5-minute break, pause the video, whenever you're ready to come back, just unpause it and we can get started. Guys, once your painting is all dry, we're going to go in and start on the first layer of trees in the very background. These are a bit smaller, they're lighter gray, so what I'm going to do is switch to my medium round brush here, and I'm going to mix a kind of light bluish gray. So I've got mostly white, some blue, and a little bit of black, and so I got this kind of lighter bluish gray here. And what we're going to do is make some really spindly lines that kind of sit right near the horizon line. So you can make these trees in kind of any manner of ways. Trees come in all shapes and sizes, but one thing to remember is that they will always be thicker near the base and then thinner as they go up and branch off. So you can do shapes like Y shapes, kind of split off near the bottom. Or you can do ones that split off more near the top. Or you can just do kind of like one simple little line. Just to kind of vary it up a little bit, I'm just making a couple of these. And then if you want to add more smaller little branches, just make sure that they are a lot thinner than the trunk. So if you need to switch to your detail brush to do so, feel absolutely free. But I'm just going to make a couple of these. Alright, another thing we can do is add some smaller, less defined lines near the horizon to make it look like there's a lot of smaller trees kind of way in the distance. So I'm taking that same color, I'm just going to make some kind of really small, thin lines kind of near or overlapping the horizon. You can make them various heights, various thicknesses, just to make it look like there's more trees in the distance. So you notice that these trees came all the way off the canvas here, and we're going to do that with all of these as we go forward because they're going to get taller and bigger as they get closer to the viewer. So before we do that though, I do want to add a couple little grass textures as well. So I'll switch to my detail brush. I'll route that same blue-gray color, and we're just going to add some blades of grass here into our ground. Now just remember that they can be any length, any shape. We just want to make sure that they are bigger in the front and smaller towards the back. Now I like to cluster them together to look like they're just growing in clumps. Alright. A few more. There, that looks good to me. So I'm just going to let this dry for a couple minutes, and then we're going to go in with the next layer of trees. Guys, so once you've got that first layer of gray in there, we're going to switch to a darker gray to kind of go in with that second layer of trees. I went back to my round brush to build these trees, and these are going to be kind of sitting on the middle section. They're still going to go all the way off the canvas, but they're going to kind of sit with their trunks starting towards the kind of middle area of our canvas. So to get this darker gray color, I used mostly blue and black with just a little bit of white, so it's just a darker version of that gray that I had on there. So with these trees, I still recommend, even though they're bigger, I still recommend starting pretty small with the trunks, because you can always thicken them up if you want to, but it's a little bit harder to make them thinner once they're already thick. So I'm just going to I'm going to do about 3 of these. You could do more, you can do less. I'm just going to start with one in the center here, and I kind of like to make these a little bit more detailed as they get further towards the foreground, so you can kind of see more what's going on, give them a more interesting shape maybe. Now just remember that the trees are always going to be thicker towards the base, and then thinner as you go up towards the branches and stuff. And we've got another one over here. Got one last one that's kind of towards the edge over here. And if you want, once you're done building the trees, you can also go in to the ground and add this color as some more blades of grass. Okay. And an extra detail on this step here, if you want to add some little highlights to your trees, you can just go in with some white and really softly just kind of outline some of the edges of the trunks or the branches, just so you can kind of see them a little bit better. It gives them a little extra level of depth. Alright, so that is another layer of trees. I'm going to let this sit for just a couple of minutes, and then we can come back and do the last set of trees whenever you guys are ready. Alrighty guys, so once this is all nice and dry, we're going to go in and start to make all of our flowers and those like green grass details. So to start with the flowers, we're actually going to go in with white just to start, so we can get a nice base, because if you go in with just pure yellow, it's not going to show up very well on such a dark background. So you can either use your medium flat brush or your medium round. I'll probably be switching between those for this one for the foreground, and I'll probably switch to the smaller one for my background, but it's up to you. But I'm just going to dip into pure white to start, and you can see that these flowers are kind of just clustered in little clumps, so you can try to kind of space them out randomly in clumps and kind of just make it look more not so patterned, I guess. But to make these flowers, I'm just doing just some little thick petal shapes that are just kind of clustered together around a center point. They don't have to be too detailed. I'm just kind of dabbing here and there. And you can make them in any shape that you want. If you want them to be more rounded, I would suggest using the medium round brush. This one has more of a square tip, so the petals will be a little bit more squared off, which I kind of like. It adds a cool geometric kind of feel to it. But I'll just be placing these flowers, and remember they're going to be bigger in the foreground and then smaller as they get to the background. Okay. Probably going to switch to my small round brush now, just to make some of the smaller flower shapes as I go back into the background. Okay, so I've got the base for my flowers in there, and we do want to let this dry, so I'm going to take just a short little 5-minute break just to let this all the white dry, so we can go over with the yellow and then add all of the little grass stems to it as well. Alrighty guys, so now that this is all dry, we can get started on our last couple of steps. So I'm just going to grab my round brush here, medium round brush. We're going to start by just going over all of our flowers here and making them the bright yellow that you see on the original. So I'm just going to dip into pure yellow. And you don't have to be super precise about this. You can just kind of cover all of the white flowers that you made with the yellow, and you'll see that they're nice and bright now. It's okay if you kind of go a little outside of the yellow. Not a big deal, just kind of makes it look like they're glowing with a little bit of the greenish yellow that would be around the sides. So I'm just going in, covering all of the white flowers with yellow. Alrighty, and once the flowers are all done, our last step is to just create all these little greenish stems that are kind of clustered underneath the flowers to kind of ground them, look like they're, you know, actually growing instead of just floating above the ground. So to do that, I'm going to mix kind of a pale green. So I'm going to take some white and blue, just a little bit of yellow until I get the right color that I like. It's kind of a minty color, if I had to describe it. Okay, so I've got that right there. It's kind of similar to the color we used for the first band of our sky, but just a little bit more darker, a little more dark, and a little bit greener. But I am just going to use my detail brush here in this color to add just a couple little thin stems underneath my clusters of flowers. Remember that they want to be thinner and smaller as we get up here, and you can make them thicker down towards the bottom. Alright, so that is our finished painting here. You want to go ahead and add any finishing details to make it just the way you want it, feel free to go ahead. But our last kind of unofficial step here is to sign your painting. So I'm going to wash up my brush. You can use any color, but usually white or black works best. I'm going to use white since I've got a pretty dark background. And I'm just going to sign my name, put my initials here in the bottom corner. You can do anywhere, I just like the corner because it kind of keeps the image looking nice without a lot of writing over it. But there you have it. That is the completed Black Forest painting. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. We would love to see all of your different creations that you guys make, so feel free to post these on Facebook or Instagram and tag us, Splash Studio, and then so we'll be able to see everything you guys have made. So that being said, thank you guys for painting with me today. Hope you're staying safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.